Sarah, you and Ken are trending on social media. The voice said over the phone. Me, what do you mean? Check social media, YouTube and TikTok now, the voice replied. Sarah cut the line and had the shock of her life, her mouth opened, her eyes wide and speechless. Her husband-to-be had just entered and joined to see what she was shocked about. And there it was, their private pre-wedding photo was on social media with the caption, "Rejected boy." What? Who did that? Were words running through their minds and their eyes locked into each other. Sarah's phone rang 30 times whilst she was taking her bath. She came out of the bathhouse and took her phone immediately to check who it was. In fact, she was surprised to see 30 different numbers on her call log. Oh mine, what is the matter? Why so many calls? She asked herself. Hope nothing has happened. She began to think. Eva, her cousin, had called her severally to inform her she had seen a photo of her and her husband-to-be, and the comments and the emojis being used were not good. People were mocking them, laughing at her husband-to-be. And Eva, Sarah's cousin, thought to herself, why would anyone or people on social media could be so mean and laugh at her cousin, Sarah, and her husband-to-be? Their engagement and wedding was just a week away and Eva was the main organizer. Eva quickly called Sarah to inform her and ask questions. But Sarah had not picked up yet. So when Sarah came out of the bathhouse, she called Eva, her chief planner, first. Eva, what is the matter? Hope everything is fine. I have had so many calls. I was taking a bath, Sarah asked. Sarah had known that during wedding preparations, a lot of things can happen, hence she kept praying for God to see them through. The many calls scared her a bit. Eva sounded serious. Check social media, you and Ken are trending. Me, what do you mean, how? Check TikTok and YouTube now. Eva said, and Sarah cut the line. She opened YouTube and TikTok and she froze. Oh, what is this? Her mouth opened, eyes widely opened. Just then her husband-to-be walked in and joined to see what was on her phone that made her look shocked. Sarah picked the call this time and it was her mom. Sarah, what is going on? Everyone is worried. Where is Ken, your husband-to-be? Hi mom, I don't know what is happening. It was Eva who called me to inform me about what was happening. Ken is right here, Sarah replied. Hope you two are fine. Yes, Mom, Sarah said. I will call you soon, Mom. The atmosphere became tensed as Ken's phone also began to ring like 20 times about the same new development. Ken did not talk. He stayed calm as a man and had some arrangements to take care of ahead of their wedding, hence needed to focus at that moment. Then his mother also called, asking same questions, and even asked, Ken, is the wedding coming off? Yes, Mom. Why not? Then Ken and Sarah's eyes met. Why would his mother even ask that? Apparently, someone on social media had added that because of the bad comments about Sarah's husband, Sarah had decided to call off the wedding. But that was far from it. Sarah had not said anything like that. Pressure began to mount on them. Ken kept his cool, but Sarah was eager to find out who did that, why, or what really happened. Sarah and Ken stepped out to continue their arrangement. Later, that evening, Sarah sat down at the hall wondering who could have posted her private picture and write such a caption, "Rejected boy," under it. After thinking through, she picked her phone and checked where the first post was coming from, and there, she realized it was posted by Ella, her best friend at work. Then she remembered, Ella had called her earlier to request for some of the pre-wedding photo shoot she had taken earlier that day. As best friends, who share almost everything together, Sarah didn't think much of it and sent her the exact photo that was used on social media. Oh my gosh, it was Ella. Sarah checked Ella's page again and checked the comment section and realized Ella would use a laughing emoji anytime someone made a mean comment. Oh my gosh, Ella. Why would you do that to me? Sarah asked hysterically. When Ken came to see her that evening, Ken never talked about what was going on. He went about the wedding planning. But Sarah felt uncomfortable and brought up the issue. Ken, I'm sorry. I just realized it was Ella who posted it. Sarah showed Ella's social media page to him and he was shocked about how Ella laughed anytime someone made a bad comment. You mean your best friend Ella at work? Ken asked. I have never seen that lady before and she has no picture of herself on her page. Why would she do that? She is the only one. I sent this exact picture to Sarah replied and shivering now. Call her and ask her, Ken suggested. Sarah dialed Ella's number. Ella, how could you do this to me? Sarah went blatantly with her question. Sarah, is Ken there with you? Ella asked. Yes, Ken is here and very disappointed in you. How could you do this? Why? Sarah, it was a joke. I didn't mean to let things get out of hands. Ella said with a laughter. Are you serious? A joke? How could this be a joke? Sarah said and cut the line. Ken, I'm so sorry. It's because of me you had to go through this. So sorry. She apologized. Ken accepted and bid her good night and left for his house. Hello, yes, this is Ken. Who am I speaking with? This is Kenzie Media and we would love to have an interview with you and your wife to be on this trending picture, the voice requested. Ken just cut the line and called Sarah. Sarah, I just had a call from a media house requesting for an interview. Ken told her. I also got the same call. Apparently our numbers on the invite she added made them get our numbers too. Oh God, what is all this and where is it heading to? Their phone kept buzzing with media houses wanting to interview them. They refused and went ahead with their engagement and wedding at Sarah's father's hometown. Most people from their hometown, they had not invited, attended the wedding to see for themselves who the rejected boy and beautiful lady trending couple looked like. Most of Ken's distant family members did not attend the wedding with all that was happening and hearing naysay that the wedding was off from social media. Just when the engagement was done, Eva, her cousin, on their way home showed Sarah another video of their just-ended engagement video to her trending on social media again. Goodness, what is going on? Who at all has decided to do this to us? Why? Were the questions running through both Sarah and Ken's minds. Secrets were about to be revealed as things started to get more and more out of hand. Sarah and her husband had now moved in together and had not even started their honeymoon, when a call came through from an unknown woman from abroad and a YouTuber as well requesting to talk to them. She made them aware she loved their trending picture when she saw their picture. Despite everything that was going and encouraged them to be strong but would love to have a live interview with them. They agreed and did TikTok live with the abroad lady. And the lady put their numbers there on the screen for anyone who would want to help them or encourage them, can do that. The following day, social media people started blasting the newly wedded couple for begging for money now. And when Ken and Sarah saw that, it angered them and prayed to God for wisdom to handle this and stop every enemy's plan against them. The new couple agreed to have an interview with Dare to Do Media to clear the air about them begging for money. And this was after Sarah took to her TikTok live and blasted everyone who was mocking her husband and said whatever he looked like, he still married her and has a ring on now, and what of the young girls mocking them? Have they been able to marry their so-called handsome men, or are they following married men? That TikTok live she did triggered other people to join and laugh even more. Sarah was the extrovert personality whilst Ken would always focus on his work and mind his business. They granted the interview and cleared the air. In the interview, they answered a lot of questions, including asking Ken about his past girlfriends, and he narrated a story of how his old girlfriend left him because of her ex who came back from abroad and wanted to take her abroad too, but the relationship didn't work and the man ran away from her. She wanted to come back to Ken but Ken said no and moved, and later met Sarah, his now wife, and made people aware they are together. Sarah added that, and if Ken is not nice, God still created him and she loves him like that, because he is hardworking and God brought them together and would even give birth to beautiful children to shame their enemies, and told everyone she had stopped her friendship with Ella as well. They said their aim was to encourage other upcoming couples, not look at beauty or handsomeness, but the great vision in the person they want to live with and move on. The interview made them stars overnight in so many ways. What the enemy thought would hurt them turned out to be a blessing. They advised people to be careful about mocking others, no matter what they looked like, because you may never know who they are. Sarah was a seamstress and Ken was a mason, hence the interview made people patronize them to help them as a form of God's blessing and comfort for them from all the mockery. But the question still stands, why did Ella do that? What was her motive? There were some secrets behind all that. Ella sat at the hall and watched every one of the new couples she posted interviews. Some she laughed, others she was just angry. Throughout the ordeal for the new couple, she never called Sarah because Sarah was advised to stay off her. One of the interviews where Ken talked about his ex-girlfriend stirred up some anger in Ella. She picked up her phone and texted a message to a particular number. "So you went ahead and married her. Why do you have to reject me and marry her?" Within minutes she got a reply. "Who is this and why this text message?" Ella texted back, "You knew I wanted to come back, and you rejected me, and still, you shamed me and married her." She got a reply. "Who is this?" She replied back, "You will see me soon, but remember your son is still with me." Meanwhile, Ken and Sarah were having new customers and their jobs were booming after the interview. God had overturned what was meant to hurt or break them into a blessing. After a stressful day, they both decided to order food and just relax. Just then Sarah received a text saying, "Your rejected boy is just using you and I will let him know everything you said about him." Sarah was taken aback. "It's from an unknown number," she said, and decided to handle it herself. Both couples were keeping each text from each other. Ella had known Sarah for a year and they had become friends at where they both worked as seamstress apprentices, and because both of them were extroverts, they clicked immediately. They went to places together, partied together, and shared some secrets. But throughout the friendship, it was Sarah who was doing the sharing more, but Ella was smart and kept some things to herself. Sarah never saw anything wrong with that. Until Sarah found out Ella had posted their private pre-wedding photo she sent to Ella on social media and seems to be mocking her man with total strangers. Apparently, Ella knew what she wanted from her friendship with Sarah more than Sarah knew. Ella had known and seen Ken from afar when she became friends with Sarah. Ella had always given excuses for meeting Ken in person every time Sarah wanted to introduce Ken to her. Sarah only showed Ella Ken's pictures. And Ken had also not met Ella in person yet. Ken only hears of Ella from Sarah as a best friend from work. Ella knew fully what she was going to do with the pre-wedding photo when she asked Sarah for the picture. Sarah had also asked Ella to be her chief bridesmaid, but Ella gave an excuse that her mother was sick and had to be by her side. Hence can't be doing all the rounds with her. Sarah felt sorry for and understood her. All throughout Sarah's preparation, Ella only came to work but would tell Sarah she was traveling every day to see her sick mom. Hence Ella was nowhere near the wedding preparation of Sarah, her best friend. Which was strange, but Sarah never thought much of it. After the wedding, Ella contacted a mutual friend of both Sarah and Ken to arrange for them to meet so Ella could apologize to them for everything that had happened. The mutual friend Sawa agreed, knowing it was coming from good place and believed that apology would help ease any tension. After church one Sunday, the said meeting for Ella to apologize came. The three friends, Sarah, Ken and Sawa, got to the venue early and had some few drinks. Waiting for Ella. Sawa called her and she said she was on her way and was stuck in traffic. About 20 minutes later, as the three friends raised their heads to see who was standing right before them, was Ella with a son of about 3 years with her. The two ladies Sarah and Sawa were shocked, but Ken was terrified upon seeing Ella standing right in front of him for the first time. "Hi Ken," Ella said with a soft smile. Ken was out of words for a second. The heat has just begun. Ella quickly saw how Ken was so terrified and for the first time, had some pity to spare any catastrophe at that moment. As Sarah and Sawa waited patiently with surprises on their faces, seeing Ella for the first time with a boy of about 3 years old, Ella broke the silence and said, "Oh, hi ladies, and of course, I know Ken because I had seen his pictures and I came to apologize for the wrong move I made for posting your private pre-wedding photo shoot, Sarah. Hope you two will forgive me." Sarah and Sawa looked at each other and sat down, while Ken and Ella also sat down. There was so much tension around them and they all barely spoke. Ella had initiated every conversation while Sarah and Sawa gave short answers. Apparently, there was no trust anymore. Then Sawa cleared her throat and asked, "Ella, and this young man here, what is his name?" Ella gave a quick glance at Ken, who was quiet throughout the whole time and said, "Oh, that's my son, I mean my cousin's son, who I always call my son. He Kenneth." Kenneth, both Sarah and Sawa voiced out. As the tension was rising more and more, Ken excused himself to go get some drinks for the ladies. His thought racing, why is Ella here at this time? Has Ella, Sarah's friend, all this while been the same Ella he knew and seen the person only today? What was she up to and why is she having a son with her? Apparently her stories did not add up. What could happen if Sarah got to know about him and Ella? He turned and to check at Ella again, just then his eyes met Ella's eyes. Ella had been looking at him with a cynical look. The three ladies back at the table did not say much. When Ken returned, he brought them some drinks and had a little time together, and 30 minutes later into their drink up, everyone left to their various homes. When Ken and Sarah got home, Sarah asked Ken why he was so nervous when he saw Ella. Ken replied, "Oh, come on Sarah. I was only surprised because of a person like her could do to our private photo online." Okay if you say so." Sarah headed for the bathroom. Within some seconds, Sarah got a message on her phone and it was Ella. It read, "Does your husband know? You told me how ugly he is and that you are only with him because of his money." Ken was shocked. He pretended not have seen any message when Sarah finished bathing. Later that night when Sarah was fast asleep, he picked up her phone and copied Ella's number to his phone. Ken made up his mind to call Ella and arrange for them to meet and talk. Ken and Ella met at a secret park the following day while Sarah was at her shop. Ella looked her best and she met Ken. She began to make advances towards him, which he refused and went ahead to give Ella his peace of mind. "Ella, what are you up to? Why are you doing this? You left me years ago and why are you here now?" 5 years ago, Ella had just gotten admission into a nursing training school when she met Ken and they became friends. With Ken's good heart and personality and kind soul, Ella got attached to Ken and they began a relationship. During their relationship, things became difficult for Ella's family and Ken decided to take care of Ella throughout her nursing training. Everything went well with them. Ella's parents loved Ken. They were young and all they knew was the love they had for each other. Until Ella finished nursing training while Ken was yet to finish his mason apprenticeship. Ella's parents began to behave coldly towards Ken, which Ken never understood, until Ella Bodhi told him one day she was no longer interested in their relationship and she was preparing to travel outside the country with her ex-boyfriend who just returned from abroad. She and her ex-boyfriend had decided to travel together upon his return on the condition Ella marries him, the ex-boyfriend. The words from Ella hit Ken as he could not find any words to express his pain at that moment. But only shed tears. Ella left Ken even in his tears. Ken was hurt because he had taken care of Ella and her parents during their hardship and loved Ella, hence this made him almost commit suicide because the pain was too much. But God being so good, he joined a church and started going on evangelism, and on one of his missions, he met Sarah, his now wife. 1 month into his new relationship with Sarah, Ella called Ken crying that her ex had traveled secretly without her and she is lonely and wanted them to come back. Ken felt sorry but told her she was too late and cut the line. Ella could not take it and decided to look for Ken because he is such a kind soul. She had also found out she was pregnant and wanted to give it to Ken. After 9 months, after she gave birth, she decided to give her son to her mother and head to the city to pursue her new dreams and maybe even find Ken. During her stay in the city, she got to know from a friend about Sarah and Ken, and she decided to play smart. She got accepted at a tailoring shop as an apprentice where Sarah also did, and they became friends. And the story started from there. But, as to what Ella was really up to, you need to keep glued to the end. The day she met with Ken upon Ken's request through a call, Ella decided to throw herself at Ken, which failed. Ella had decided to break up Sarah and Ken without them knowing it was her. But it failed and Ken and Sarah still got married. That hurt Ella very much and became even more jealous and obsessed with Ken even the more. I must get Ken back, Ella encouraged herself. At their meeting, Ken asked Ella what she wanted, and what she did on social media went too far. I wanted to make her leave you so I could come for my baby, replied Ella. I am not your baby, Ella, and today is the last time we will talk about this. Leave my family alone, leave Sarah alone. You left me and now I'm married to the best woman in the world. Best woman, you said, Ella asked, hysterically laughing. Ken, you have no idea what Sarah was saying behind your back. She said you are ugly and it's only because of pity and money she was with you, Ella angrily said. Ella, I'm sorry but you can't come between Sarah and I, Ken replied. Don't come close to us again, Ken warned her and left. Ella was left with tears in her eyes. She wiped them and left the park. Sarah woke up the next morning to find a little boy of 3 years standing in front of her door holding a letter and a bag when she stepped out to go to work. Hi, little man, who are you with this early morning? Sarah asked, and checked the side and back of the house to see if anyone was around. And there was no one. She was alarmed and called Ken to come and see what she had just seen. Ken came out in his morning coat and immediately recognized the boy with Ella from their past meeting with Ella. Is this not the boy with Ella the last time? He is holding a letter. Sarah took the letter to read immediately. Hi Ken, he is your son, and he will love to stay with you. He has been asking of his father and I cannot keep it away from him anymore. I know Sarah will be happy to take him in. Please take care of him. And remember, I miss you so much. His mother, Ella. Ken, what is this and what is going on? What is Ella talking about? Sarah angrily asked. Sarah, calm down, Ken managed to say. This is not my son and there is something I need to tell you. I have a lot of customers and you want me to stay and listen to all this drama. Sarah angrily said and walked off. Ken was left speechless. He took the boy in and called Ella, whose line was off. Ken fed the boy and took him to his room so he could rest. That evening when Sarah returned, there was tension and arguments between the two of them. Sarah needed answers and Ken explained everything to her. Ella means nothing to me and this boy I know for sure is not mine. Believe me, Sarah, Ken explained. Sarah paused for a second and calmed herself down to think of what to do. She called Ella's phone switched off. They stayed with the boy knowing who dropped him off at their entrance. 1 week later, Sarah came back from town and told Ken she was sorry for not believing him. Ken was surprised as Sarah gave Ken a DNA result she did secretly on the little boy and the result stated Ken was not the father. Now the question they asked themselves was, how do they get the little boy to his mother Ella since her phone was off? Just then, there was a knock at their door. Ken and Sarah went to check, and to their surprise, there were 2 policemen outside with a search warrant to search their house because this woman with them, who was Ella, had reported her missing little boy and was told he could be in their house. Sarah and Ken looked at each other and smiled. They called the little boy and told the officers everything, including the letter attached to the little boy when he was dropped off. Ella denied everything, and the officers didn't believe Sarah and Ken and wanted to take them to the police station. 1 minute, officers, I would like you all to watch this on the screen, Ken requested. It was a CCTV footage showing Ella in full glare dropping off her son at the entrance of their house. Ella was shocked and didn't have words to say. She started begging Ken and Sarah, and said it was out of jealousy, pain, anger, desperation and obsession with Ken. She had told herself, if she tried all that she did, Sarah would have left Ken and she would have him back. Sarah held Ken's hands and said, the devil was using you to be against our marriage, but it didn't work. Sarah told Ella to stop being jealous and pray to God to grant her a man that would love her back. The officers were shocked and took Ella away for false accusation. Ella was put behind bars and she cried all day. The news got to her parents in the other town and they rushed to the police station. When her parent got there, Ella began to accuse her mother of being the cause of all she had been through. Apparently, it was Ella's mom who advised her to leave Ken back then and date her ex-boyfriend from abroad so he could shower her, Ella and the family, with more dollars. Without knowing, the ex was already having a family back at abroad. The ex left the country without even telling Ella and left her with a son to take care of alone by herself. Ella blamed it all on her mother. Her father tried to console her but she refused. Her mother felt bad and apologized. Ella, I'm sorry, her mother said. Some mothers can push their daughter into a relationship that ends up hurting them. The officers murmured. A day after the incident and Ella was taken away, Sarah and Ken discussed the matter and decided to forgive Ella. To err is human and to forgive is divine, Sarah said, and she believed Ella had learned her lessons not to be so obsessed, jealous, and angry with another woman's man, because it comes with a lot of greater pain and could have landed Ella in trouble, and also not to fight another woman's marriage. Sarah and Ken went to the police station to free Ella. Ella was so grateful and took her son and returned to her house and started life all over. Sometimes, the things or people we seek most are not meant to be ours and we have to let go to free ourselves from greater pain. Everyone out there must also know that, not everyone who says they are friends are actually friends, some may be enemies in disguise. Marriage comes with some attacks, therefore, pray for your marriage. If you loved our story, please feel free to subscribe. It's free and it will help us grow and be a family. See you on the next video.